Hello everyone. The topic of study here is multiplexing. Whenever we have a bandwidth of a medium linking two devices, it is greater than the bandwidth needed for the device, the link can be shared. We have a bandwidth and that bandwidth it is greater than the bandwidth we need for our service. In that case, we can share that link with the other person. So multiplexing, it is a set of technique that allows the persons to transmit of multiple signals over a single data link, and it can be done simultaneously. As data and telecommunications, it is going to increase because we are going to share the bandwidth of the link. The more data gets transmitted, so the data and telecommunication use is going to increase, and as we are sending the more data, it's going to increase even the traffic in the network. You can see the diagram here. It is a multiplexer and demultiplexer. If we have a one link, that link is divided into multiple channels using mux, and at the other side all those channels are combined and it's going to give the single data to the other output side, that is to the receiver. So here mux, it is going to combine all of those streams into a single stream, and at the receiver side all those streams, all those combined streams, they have been divided into different data. Here one link, it can contain multiple channels, and all those channels may be separated by the guard bands, so that overlapping of signals do not occur during the transmission. Link, it is going to be considered as a physical path where channel, it refers to a portion of link where it carries signals from source to destination or between the pair of lines. And one link can have multiple channels within it. There are three broad categories of multiplexing. The first one is frequency division multiplexing, and the second one is wave division multiplexing, where these two are used to transmit or multiplex analog signals over the medium. And to send analog signals, we need to make best use of the available bandwidth, and we are going to make the multiplexing process for analog signals in these two categories. And third one is time division multiplexing, and it's mainly used for digital data. The first one here is the frequency division multiplexing. It is FDM. It is an analog technique, and it's mainly used when the bandwidth of a link, it is greater than the combined bandwidth of a signal to be transmitted. Here we have a bandwidth of a link. The link bandwidth is almost more than the signal what we need to send. So the data what we need to send across the network, it is comparatively less compared to the bandwidth allocated for us. So in this case, we are going to use the frequency division multiplexing, and each generated signal has different carrier frequencies. So each signal that we need to send across the link, they have their certain frequencies. When these are combined into one signal and they are being transmitted across onto the link. Channels can be separated by strips of unused bandwidth. They are called as guard bands to prevent signal from overlapping. As we are combining different carrier frequency signals into one and then we are transmitting into the link, there may be a chance of overlapping. So to avoid those overlapping, we are going to add the guard bands in between those carrier frequencies. Here FDM is mainly used for analog signals, so it is an analog multiplexing technique that combines analog signals, and it is modulation, that is, it's going to use the concept of modulation. You can see the frequency division multiplexing here in the diagram. Here input lines, and those lines are given to the mux, and one line can have multiple channels. You can find three channels here. One link has three channels, which means that three kinds of carrier frequencies can be transmitted, and they are separated by the guard bands. Guard bands are found between the channels. Between channel 1 and channel 2, you can see a line here, which can be considered as guard bands. Similarly, between channel 2 and 3, we can find them. and at the receiver side the reverse is going to occur. Here we have a multiplexing process of FDM. Here each source generates a signal of a similar frequency range, and in case of inside the multiplexer, these similar signals modulate different carrier frequencies. They are going to generate different carrier frequencies, and those carrier frequencies are indicated as F1, F2 and F3. And this is going to happen inside the modulator. The resulting modulated signals are then combined into a single composite signal, and that is sent over to the media link. That is, if the media has enough bandwidth to accommodate, then it is sent to the media. So you can find the combined or composite signal, and only one signal is sent, which is a combination of these three different carrier frequencies. At demultiplexing process, it's going to use the filters to decompose the multiplexed signal into its constituent composite signals. Each individual signal, they are then passed to demodulator and then separate them from the carrier passes. Next we have is about the here we have a real-time example of FDM, and it is a radio where we are going to tune the frequencies, and when we tune the frequencies, we are going to get the signals for them. Suppose if we are going to tune it as for 93.8, we are going to get some signal and we are going to receive the data. Similarly, there are different FM ranges, that is frequency ranges, and within that range we get that particular signal. Here is one of the example. Assume that a voice channel occupies a bandwidth of 4 kHz. Here you have a voice channel which can have a bandwidth of 4 kHz. We need to combine 3 voice channels into link with a bandwidth of 12 kHz. We are going to combine three such voice channels, which is going to give the bandwidth of 12 kHz from 20 to 22 kHz. It is the shown configuration using the frequency domain. Assume there are no guard bands. So here we are not going to make use of guard bands, and when we are sending the carrier frequencies, there is no intermediate band in between and the overlapping can occur. Here we can see the result in the diagram. We have a channel which is going to occupy a bandwidth of 4 kHz. That is, you can find 0 to 4, that is 4 kHz. 3 such channels, they have been combined, so you are going to get the bandwidth which is of 12 kHz. And that bandwidth range, it's going to be from 20 to 32. When it is from 20 to 32, we are going to divide them among 3 parts, then 3 frequencies, and 20 to 24, it's going to carry one kind of signal which has the carrier frequency same. And 24 to 28, again it has a different carrier frequency signals, and 28 to 32, again it has a different carrier frequency, and all of them, they have been combined into a composite signal and then they are sent into the network. And you can use the at the receiver side, you can use the filters to demodulate them. Here again you have one more example. You have 5 channels, each of 100 kHz bandwidth, and they are to be multiplexed together. What is the minimum bandwidth of the link if there is a need for the guard band of 10 kHz? So guard bands, they are inserted between the signals, in between the channels where we are going to send the signals. Here totally there are 5 channels, and each channel has the capacity of or bandwidth of 100 kHz. So you can find all of them here. and they have been separated by a guard band which is of 10 kilohertz. So totally we have 5 channels which has the capacity of 100 kilohertz plus 4 guard bands between those 5 channels which has the capacity of 10 kilohertz, and we require 540 kilohertz of bandwidth totally. Again, there is one more example here, the 4 data channels that is digital, each transmitted at 1 Mbps. They are going to use a satellite channel of 1 megahertz, design an appropriate configuration using an FDM. And we have to note that the satellite channel, it is mainly used for analog signals, to transmit the analog signals, and the data what we have to transmit here, it is a digital data. So we divide it in that satellite channel into 4 sub-channels. Each channel is having the one capacity of 250 kilohertz bandwidth. Each channel of 1 Mbps must be transmitted over 250 kilohertz channel. Assuming that there is no noise, we are going to calculate the bit rate. This is one of the solution. One more solution is using 16 QAM modulators, which are 4 we have used in this example. And it is going, this 16 QAM, it is going to convert that 1 Mbps digital data into 250 kilohertz analog data, and that is again combined, those are combined using an FDM technique. Here are some of the applications of FDM. Analog carrier system is going to use the telephone line. The earlier companies, were using the multiplexed signals from lower bandwidth lines to the higher bandwidth line, and they have formed an analog hierarchy, and that hierarchy has, so it is made up of groups, supergroups, master group, jumbo group, and this hierarchy is shown in the next. Here you can see the hierarchy here. Here in the analog hierarchy, initially 12 voice channels are multiplexed onto a higher bandwidth line to create a group. Here a group is formed by using the multiplexing of 12 voice channels. By multiplexing those 12 voice channels, you can find the group. And the group has the capacity of 48 kilohertz of bandwidth, and it can support up to 12 voice channels. Next we have is the group. 5 groups can be multiplexed to create a composite signal called as supergroup. The next one is supergroup, and it is made up of 5 groups. A supergroup, it has a bandwidth of 240 kilohertz, and it can support up to 60 voice channels. Similarly, you have a master group which is made up of 10 supergroups and has the capacity of 252 megahertz and can have 600 voice channels, and 6 such master groups, they are going to make the jumbo group, which has 3600 voice channels and a capacity is 16.984 megahertz. Some of the other applications of FDM, they are used in AM and FM radio broadcastings, and a special bandwidth from 530 kilohertz to 1700 kilohertz, it has been assigned for AM radio, and FM has a bandwidth from 88 megahertz to 108 megahertz. These are the frequency ranges in the bandwidth that has been allocated for AM and FM. The other use is in telecommunication broadcasting, where they are going it with the TV. If we set the certain frequencies, that particular channel appears on the screen, and the broadcasting is of 6 megahertz. The second one is second classification of multiplexing is wavelength division multiplexing. It is also called as WDM. Here, this was designed to use high data rate capacity of fiber optic cable. Earlier, we were using the metallic transmission cables for the FDM, and here it has been replaced with fiber optical cables, and these cables, they are going to accept only optical signals over them. So it was designed to use high data rate capacity of fiber optic cables. These cables have higher data rate compared to the metallic transmission cable, so it can accumulate more amount of data. It is similar to FDM except that optical signals are transmitted over the fiber optic cable. In multiplexing and demultiplexing, we combine multiple light source into a single light and do the reverse at the end side. This is easily handled by the prism. You can see that here we have a multiple sources of light, that is lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3 are wavelength division signals, and they have been combined into one using the prism at the multiplexer side, and that is transmitted over the fiber optic cable, and at the receiver side it has been demultiplexed again using a prism. Some of the applications are for WDM. One is SONET network, one more is dense WDM. Here dense WDM, it can multiplex large number of channels by spacing those channels very close to each other, and it is going to increase the efficiency as well. The third type of multiplexing, it is a time division multiplexing, which is nothing but TDM. It can be used to transmit the digital process or digital data, and it's a digital process where several connections share high bandwidth link. Each connection occupies a portion of time in the link. So here we have a link. That link is divided into multiple channels, and those channels are allocated to the sender based on the times. If I have a resource which need to be used by 3 persons, then I am going to divide the time slot into 3 parts, and one person can use that resource for a certain amount of time, and when that person releases the resource, the other person can use it. So if I have a resource which needs to be shared among 3 persons, and it is divided based upon the time intervals, and based on that the person can use it. In general, TDM is a digital multiplexing technique for combining several low rate channels into one high rate channel, which has been shown here. Here I have 4 senders who want to send the data, and the entire entire link has been divided into channels, and all those channels are allocated for those senders. Here the 4th person can send a part of the data, and here the 3rd person can send the part of data during that certain interval. You can find them here. The entire link, it is divided into multiple channels, and each channel is allocated with the time. You can see the time intervals, and only during those particular slots the person can send the data. There are 2 different schemes of time division multiplexing. First one is synchronous and second one is statistical TDM. In synchronous TDM, each input connection has an allotment in the output even if it is not sending the data. You can see in this diagram, this particular link has been allocated to 4th device which is sending the data. Suppose that this 4th device does not have a data to send, but still this bandwidth it is reserved for a particular amount of time to the 4th device itself. Even though it does not have for data, the resource gets wasted here. Each input connection has an allotment in the output even if the sender does not have any kind of data to send. Here you are going to come across time slots and frames. Time slots, the data flow of each input connection is divided into units, and each unit occupies one input time slot. And this, if an input to time slot is t, then the output time slot is t by n, where n is the number of connections. Frame, a round of data unit from each input connections is collected in the 1 to 1 frame. You can see this in the diagram. Here time slot, there are 3 users or 3 devices which want to send, and the data what they want to send, it has been divided into 3 slots. You can see the time here, with t is the time slot that has been allocated to send the data, and at the receiver side it is t by 3 because that entire time it has been shared by 3 senders here. So it is T by 3 in one frame. One frame carries the data from all the senders. If there are 3 senders who want to send, it's going to carry a part of data from all the 3 persons, because certain time has been allocated for all the 3 persons. At the receiver side, it's going to be about by T divided by 3. And each frame has a 3 time slot. The same thing is shown in the diagram, in the example here, in the figure 11. Okay. In this figure, the data rate for one of the 3 input connections is 1 kbps. If one bit at a time is multiplexed, what is the duration of A, each input slot, B, each output slot, and C, each frame? So in the diagram, the data rate of each one of the 3 input connections is 1 kbps, which means that it can send the data rate at 1 kbps. All the 3 slots or all the 3 connections, they can send the data at 1 kbps, and it has been multiplexed and into a unit of 1 bit. What is the duration of A, each input slot, B, each output slot, and third one is each frame? We'll go with the first one. The data rate of each input connection is 1 kbps, which means that the bit duration is 1 divided by 1000 seconds, or it is considered as 1 millisecond. The duration of input slot is 1 millisecond. It is similar to the bit duration. If we have 1 millisecond as the input time, the output time for each slot is divided by 3, because we have 3 input connections. So it is 1 divided by 3 milliseconds. Then third one is each frame carries 3 output time slots. So the duration is 3 into 1 divided by 3 into, that is 3 into output slot, or 3 into 1 divided by 3 microseconds. It is similar to the input time duration. Here we have one more example. Figure 13 shows the synchronous TDM with 4 1 Mbps data stream. Here we have 4 1 Mbps data stream and 1 data stream for the each output. The unit of data is 1 bit. We find input duration of bits and output duration of bits, and third one is the output bit rate and output frame rate. We can find the first one, that is the input bit duration. The input bit duration, it is the inverse of bit rate. The bit rate is 1 Mbps for 4 channels. So it is 1 divided by 1, inverse of bit rate. So it is 1 divided by 1 Mbps. We are going to write it as 1 microsecond. The output is going to be of 1 divided by 4, because we have 4 that kind of data streams. So it is 1 divided by 4 microseconds, and the output bit rate is the inverse of the input bit duration, that is 1 divided by 4 microseconds, or it is 4 Mbps. And the frame rate is always same as any input rate. The input rate is 1 microsecond, which is going to set many frames per second, because we are sending 4 bits in each frame. This is shown with an example here. Next example, this is similar to the earlier one. Next we have is about the interleaving. TDM, can be considered as 2 fast rotating switches. One is on the multiplexing side, the other is on the demultiplexing side. At multiplexing side, the link opens a connection. That connection has the opportunity to send a unit onto the path. The process of taking the group of bits from each input line for multiplexing, it is called as interleaving. Here you can consider TDM as a 2 fast rotating switches. Here you have one switch and one more is here. This is at the sender side and one more is at the receiver side. That is, one is used for multiplexing and one more can be considered as demultiplexing. At this side, it has the opportunity to grab the input. Whatever the senders they are going to send, it's going to grab those inputs and it's going to put that into a link. So it is the process of taking group of bits from each input line and this process is called as interleaving. So it's going to grab the input from A1, B1, C1 and it's going to place them into a frame which need to be transmitted. So it is being set into a lane. At the other side, at the demultiplexing side, a switch opens in the front for connection and the connection has opportunity to receive a unit from the path. So it's going to extract the frame from a path and it's going to give them to a particular channel. So initially frame 1 has arrived, A1, B1 and C1. So it's going to grab that frame and it's going to demultiplex and send those as a separate data. Here you have an example. 4 channels are multiplexed using TDM. Here you can find those 4 channels. If each channel sends 100 bytes per second and we multiplex 1 byte per channel, only 1 byte from channel it is taken to transmit over the medium for a 1 frame. Show the frame traveling on the link, the size of the frame, the duration of the frame rate and the bit rate for the link. Here you can see that you have 4 multiplexed channels, 4 channels which are multiplexed through TDM and you have the data of 100 bytes per second to send. But when you are multiplexing from each channel, you can send only 1 byte of data. So when 1 byte of data is taken from all the 4 channels, one frame can send up to 4 bytes of data, which is nothing but 32 bits. When you are sending 32 bits and you need to send how many bytes of data? 100 bytes. So 100 into 32, we are going to get it as 3200 bits per second data need to be transmitted. Again, this example is similar to the earlier one. Empty slots in case of synchronous TDM. This synchronous TDM, it is not efficient because if the source does not have any data to send, the corresponding slot in the transmission and at the output it is going to remain empty. We can see that in the example here, which is in the diagram. You can find 4 channels and among that first channel has a complete data to send, the second channel is completely empty. And during transmission, that slot does not carry any kind of data. That bandwidth or the link gets wasted. The time duration to send the data is going to remain same, but it does not carry any data within the frame. So this synchronous TDM, it is not efficient because of this empty slots. Next, we have the data rate management. The input lines, they are going to vary. So to handle that, we follow 3 categories. First one is multi-level multiplexing. In multi-level multiplexing, if we have the data where it is a multiple of actual data what we have to transmit. Suppose we have around 5 channels which have the data rate of 40 kbps and 3 have the data rate of 40 kbps and 2 have the data rate of 20 kbps. We can combine those 2 and make them as 40 kbps and all of them they are going to send, they can have the same data rate, that is 40 kbps, and among them we can find them at the output side 160 kbps can be transmitted. So in case of multi-level multiplexing, if there are multiples of that particular value, then we can combine them. In multiple slot multiplexing, you can divide the data rate. This data rate, the higher the bit rate channels are allocated, more slots per frame, and the output frame rate is a multiple of each input link. So you can find that 3 channels have the rate of 25 kbps, where one has the 50 kbps, and you can divide them into 2 separate links, and then we can transmit the data over the medium. In case of pulse stuffing, if 2 have the 50 kbps and the other one is lesser than that, then we can add certain bits to add that, and you can make it as 56 kbps into 50 kbps, and then we can transmit it. Frame synchronization. To provide the synchronization between the multiplexer and the multiplexer, one more bit, that bit is called as synchronization bit, which is usually added at the beginning of frame. and these bits are called as synchronization of framing bits. See, for frame 3 we have used one more bit, that is called as bit 1, which is going to act as a synchronization bit. And similarly have 0 for frame 2 and 1 for frame 3. Frame 1. Here we have an example. We have 4 sources, each creating 258-bit characters per second. If the interleaved unit is a character and one synchronizing bit is added to the frame, we are going to find the data rate at each source. This is similar to our previous example. We are going to find the data rate of each source. The data rate of each source is 250 into, we are going to send the 8-bit character, that is 1 byte. So 250 into 8, we are going to get it as 2000 bits per second. Next, the second one is the duration of each character in each source. Each source sends 250 characters per second. Therefore, the duration is 1 divided by 250 seconds, which are, or it is going to be 4 microseconds. Similarly, you have this frame rate. Frame rate, the link need to send 250 frames per second. Fourth one is duration of each frame. The duration of each frame is 1 divided by 250 seconds, that is 4 milliseconds. Fifth one is the number of bits in each frame. Each frame carries 4 characters and 1 extra synchronizing bit, which is 33 bits. And the digital signal service, in case of digital signal service, we are going to have, this is similar to analog signal service, and we have 24 channels. In that 24 channels, which has the capacity of 64 kbps, and in DS1 it has the capacity of 1.544 Mbps service, and it is 24 times faster than that of the DS0, and can carry any other combination of signal which is going to fit within the capacity of 1.544 Mbps of data. Next one is about the DS2. DS2 has the capacity of 6.312 Mbps, and it can be similar to 4 DS1s, and has the capacity of 6.312 Mbps of data, which is 96 times more than the 64 kbps. Next one is about the DS3, and the last one is DS4. Statistical TDM, it is opposite to synchronous TDM, where you are going to dynamically allocate the slots for the transmission process. Here the bandwidth or slots were already allocated, where 2 slots are empty here. When 2 slots are empty, in case of synchronous TDM, they will be sent to the destination in the blank format itself. But in case of statistical TDM, those will be allocated to the person who are in need of it. So here we have around 5 channels, and they have the data to send, whereas C is completely empty, and this time slot is been allocated to either B or D because they have more data to send to the destination. So the C's time slot, it has been shared between B or D. It depends upon the user, and it's going to allocate. So you can find the empty slots here, and when it is in a statistical TDM, those empty slots have been occupied to the different lines. The empty slot has been allocated to B here, the slot is allocated to E. Thank you.